What's up, everybody? This is Daniel Harms, the RGR Football Channel lead film analyst here. But today, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of the Kansas City Chiefs 2022 season. Now that we have the roster set, we finalized on Tuesday, we know the players are going to be on here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the offense, what I expect to come statistically from these guys, how we can plan to have what they're going to be doing this year, and how they're going to use different players, and really yardage totals, touchdowns, stuff like that. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty there. We'll talk a little bit about some of the defensive players, what I expect sack-wise, interception-wise, and really just kind of get down to the nitty-gritty with that and give some projections and some predictions for the Chiefs this season. And before we do that, I'm going to be using some props and some over-unders that are posted by DraftKings Sportsbooks. And if you guys didn't know, they are our new sponsors for the 2022 season. But the code is the same from last year, so it is RGR21. And what you use that for is for new members. If you're interested, we know that Kansas has now opened up for sports betting in Kansas. And if you're living in Kansas, or if you happen to live within driving distance like I do and you want to dabble a little bit, all you have to do is sign up at DraftKingsSportsbook.com. You place your first $5 bet and you instantly get $200 in free bets. So if you guys are interested in that, please go ahead and do that. It helps us with the advertisement, stuff like that. Obviously helps them. And you never know, you could hit big betting on the Chiefs this season. So I'm going to be using DraftKings Sportsbooks for my odds and my everything like that I'm going to be talking about with regular season passing yards for Mahomes and touchdowns and receptions and reception yards and rushing yards, stuff like that. So if you're not sure about the platform, you can always go there and check out exactly what I'm looking at. So let's go ahead and start, because this is the really kind of fun, because I'm going to use the over-unders that DraftKings Sportsbook has, and I'm going to talk about whether I would go over on that, and then talk about what I actually think they're going to throw for. So this could get fun. I love when you guys ask over-under questions on the lives and stuff like that, because it really makes you think about your own projections and what they really could be. So I like seeing some lines like this. So Patrick Mahomes on DraftKings Sportsbooks has an over-under of 4,650 yards, 50.5. So this one is kind of an easy one for me, because I think he's going to get close to 5,000 yards. Even if he doesn't, I think he's going over 4,650. I think it'll be closer to 4,800 yards this season. And I would do that myself. I would bet the over on it. I think he's going to have a year where Mahomes just distributes the football everywhere. They're going to find out a lot about this offense, a lot about this team going forward. They can continue to hammer those two high safety shells, and they bring guys like Juju Smith-Schuster in, and MVS to an extent, really trying to hit them down the seams. I think Justin Watson's going to be a big part of that, and Sky Moore is going to help that too. So I think getting more involved everywhere is just going to benefit them in regards to passing yards. So I would see. I'd say closer to 4,800 yards, close to 5,000 for Patrick Mahomes this year. Definitely not out of the question at all for Patrick Mahomes, as we know he's done it before. So it's a lot of fun with that. Patrick Mahomes also has an over-under of 34 touchdowns this season. Barring injury, Patrick Mahomes is throwing over 40 touchdowns this year. And I think that, especially with the way that they've readapted the offense, like I just talked about, I really think that he could have one of the more historic offenses and really in terms of potential with his statistical analysis. He could have one of the best seasons he's ever had, which is already saying something for someone who's thrown 5,050 touchdowns. I just foresee, with everything that's going on this season, with the shade that's been thrown at Patrick Mahomes, and with everything that he's dealt with, and being eighth in I know it's voted on November, and I know that it's the players voting eighth in the NFL top 100 doesn't make a whole lot of sense to the best player in football. So that's you can argue Aaron Donald if you want to. I understand the argument there, but again, it's Patrick Mahomes, and I do believe that he's going to be having a scorched earth tour this year. Now let's get to Clyde. This is an interesting one for me, because you guys know how I feel specifically about him in this offense, and the way that they kind of utilized his 2019 LSU rushing concepts in the preseason led me to believe that they're going to use them a little bit more. And if they do, I believe he can really crush some of these over-unders, specifically in regard to yards. He has an over 7,000, 7,000. Yeah, that's ridiculously unattainable. He has an over-under of 700 rushing yards on the season. We do try to build in some injury to this, because Clyde has had some injury problems. Seeing as how he had over 800 yards his rookie season. I believe that over 700 yards this year, which I think he's going to be in a better shape. He's going to be utilized better, and he's going to be in overall. He's going to have a better season. So I think over 700 yards for Clyde. If he's the guy and just doesn't get hurt, I believe that that's pretty easy for me to pick the over on that. But I just think overall Clyde's going to have close to a 1,500 yard season total from line yards from scrimmage. He could see over that as well, depending on how they utilize him in the passing game. But I don't think he's going to get well over 500 yards out of the backfield. But it's all going to come down to that rushing total. But utilized in the offense that he played at LSU with some of those inside gap scheme concepts and some pin pulls and really getting those doubles in the inside of the interior is going to allow him to do what he does best, manipulate linebackers to get to the second level and then get 10, 15 yards a time. So yeah, I think over 700 yards for Clyde is going to be where I land on that. Now let's talk a little bit about the wide receivers, because this is where the intricacies for the passing offense can really come out and surprise people. I think Clyde's going to be in line for about 400, 500 yards receiving. I think that's the norm with him if he's able to be used properly. If they start to use McKinnon more in the passing game and Clyde less, obviously that's going to take away some of his numbers. We're going to see how they divvy up the yardage, but I think that they've shown that they're going to be getting him out there quite a lot, and obviously the Chiefs will throw more than they run the ball. So he'll be still on the field for quite a lot of passing downs. I think that's reasonable for him. Now we have Juju Smith-Schuster was just brought in, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling was just brought in. I think Marquez will be more around the 607 yard receiving yard. I don't think he's going to get anything crazy. I think that's probably where I land with him. And then Juju Smith-Schuster right now has an over-under of 750.5. This one is difficult for me because I think that while he could very easily eclipse this with distributing the football and everywhere that I'm leaning, I think he's going to get the most receptions on the team. I think that's pretty much not out of the question at all. I think he's definitely going to do it. And with overs, yeah, you know what? Just forget it. I'm going to say over 750. I think that he's going to push for that 1,000-yard receiving year this year, but it's not going to be in the conventional way we've seen. He's going to get a ton of middling targets, intermediate to short distances for him. He's going to get a lot of those racked up, and it's going to be just over 750, closer to 8, maybe 850 is where we'll see Juju Smith-Schuster this year. And then you have, Mecole Hardman, who I believe is going to hit 1,000 yards this season based off of how they utilize him and getting the ball down the field a little bit more. I do think that they're going to be able to bring some of those safeties down. So I think Mecole's going to get 1,000 yards this year, and if not, I think it could be fringe around 900 yards. And then the 4, Sky Moore actually has a prop on here, and Mecole Hardman doesn't, which I think is a little interesting. But Sky Moore over under 680 yards. I don't think he's going to be utilized as much as everyone else, and I do think they're going to rotate in Justin Watson as much as they rotate Sky Moore. So I think under 650 yards, or 680 yards, for Sky Moore is kind of where I'm leaning with that. I think that next year he's going to be involved much more. There's a possibility that neither Juju Smith-Schuster or Mecole Hardman are on the team next year, and that could really bump up a lot of things for Sky Moore. So I think this year, as a rookie season, which we know that that Andy Reid does not always lean into the rookies as much as he does everybody else. I think it makes more sense to say that he's going to be around the 500 and closer to maybe just fringing that 600. So that's where I lean there. But this offense is going to be incredibly good. I think that these guys are going to have really, really great seasons. And then we could talk a little bit about Travis Kelce, who I think is not only obviously going to lead them in targets, receptions, yards, maybe even receiving touchdowns could be another thing for him. He could just get the whole shebang down for him. He's got an over-under of 1,100 yards. 1,100 yards for Travis Kelce. That's something that I'm looking at a lot. I think that he can easily get closer to 1,300 to 1,400 yards in this offense, the way that they still utilize him. I know that everyone talks about doubling Travis Kelce and how teams are just going to continuously do that. But realistically speaking, how often does it actually happen? And as soon as Juju, as Mecole, as Marquez, Sky, all these guys start to eat and destroy the other parts of the defense that are being affected if they do start to double team Travis Kelce, they're going to have to stop. And even in those games where they do a little bit more than often, Travis Kelce and Andy Reid are a match made in heaven. Kelce might be the most naturally gifted route runner, separator, creator after the catch at tight end we've ever seen, like ever. Like, that's unique. You combine him with a guy who just schemes guys open no matter what, he's still going to do that. So I think that Travis Kelce is going to get closer to 1,300 yards this season with 8 to 10 touchdowns and really continue this incredible stretch of receiving and this incredible receiving acumen he's had. I don't believe that he's slowing down physically. I think that he's having to adjust to defenses being more physical with him, which never really has been his game. But I think he looks really good, and I think they're going to find better ways to get him off the line of scrimmage this year. Give him a little bit more free releases where he's not playing the X. You can let Sky Moore, you can let Marquez be on the line a little bit more because they can do what they do. I think Sky's excellent at beating press coverage and releasing from that. I think Marquez is just a little bit more physical of a guy that can get off of it. And even when he doesn't get off of it, which is most of the time, he's able to still use his speed to generate downfield and open up some lanes. So I think that they're going to do a better job of getting Travis Kelce in more favorable matchups, getting him on the move so he's not lined up right off the line. He's usually the guy by himself in the 3-by-1, and he's usually closer to the line of scrimmage. And I think they're going to do more with maybe getting him in motion, bringing him back in the backfield, getting him out wide, doing a lot more things to get him off the line of scrimmage. So I think Kelce's in for a huge, huge season this year. And really, when it comes down to it, I think Jody Fortson could even put up, close to 10 touchdowns in this offense as a red zone threat. I do believe he's that good. Obviously, we know that Patrick Mahomes is a favorite. He's 9-1 to win MVP on DraftKings Sportsbook. That seems like a good bet to me. I think that he's not the lowest guys. I think Josh Allen is one of the guys right above him. But to win Offensive Player of the Year, he's he's 25-1 and 20-1 on DraftKings. So that's if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff. I'm really not huge into betting the futures. It's difficult. That kind of thing, but he is 9-1 for most passing touchdowns and 8-1 for most passing yards in the league. I think those are fun things to look at myself. But let's go over to the defensive side of the football, because this is really where I think there's going to be a ton of turnover. And predicting success for this team is largely going to hinge on the improvement of the defense this year. So let's pull up all of our corners. Let's talk about interceptions this year, because I do believe that Trent McDuffie will lead the team in interceptions. I think he's going to have 4, probably maybe 5 interceptions as a rookie, which is very, very impressive. Even getting 4 or 5 in a season is impressive to begin with. But I think that they're going to be much better at getting their hands on the football in the secondary. And I think that right behind him is going to be Justin Reed with 3 or 4 picks this year. I'm hoping Juan can get up there, because I really would like to see like 10 total interceptions, maybe a little bit more on the defense as a whole this year. Really kind of get much better at getting their hands around and just being on the field. I think that's something that they really do need. Now let's talk a little bit about the sack artists. We know Chris Jones should lead the Chiefs in sacks this year. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see him return to a 15, 16, 17 sack season for him, because while you guys know how I felt about Karlaftis, I think the improvement that he's shown is going to allow a little bit more attention on him as a rookie, as a pass rusher. And I think that Frank Clark can hopefully threaten more upfield and be more of a complementary pass rusher, things that he really is in the NFL now. He's not a guy that you can be one-on-one, double team, beat double teams, and be your single guy. He's more of a helper. That's fine. You can help. You can push. You get Karlaftis, and you can get Frank Clark and push that pocket in a little bit and help Chris Jones get more sacks. I do think that he can be the guy that gets 14, 15, upwards of 15 plus sacks this year. So I love the ability there. And I think that I still believe, I hold the belief that George Karlaftis is going to be a good rookie. I think he'll finish more with 5 or 6 sacks this year. I don't see him being a crazy sack artist. I know he's gotten some already in the preseason, and that's great for him. I think going up against a better offensive lineman, as he'll see later, is going to prove a little bit tougher. But again, I could be wrong. That's fine. And when I'm wrong, I'll show you guys. I'll talk about it. And I'm hoping that Karlaftis comes out with like 10 sacks. That'd be incredible. It'd be amazing. But I think it's going to go, Chris Jones is the guy who leads the team in sacks. I do think Karlaftis is going to be 2. I think he can get, 6, but that kind of shows you the depth of the sack people. So we got to have someone come out. We got to have Frank Clark have a better year. We got to have some other guys, Mike Dana, and maybe some more interior from Tershawn Wharton. Maybe Colin Saunders can contribute 3 or 4. They got to find ways to get more guys into that sack artistry. They call it Sack Nation for some reason. I don't know why. These guys haven't gotten sacks in years. So Chris needs to be able to be better than he was last year, and everybody else has to take that step up. And I think the guy that has been in here, the defensive line coach, Joe Cullen, has done a great job of making them all better. So I think that those are numbers they could definitely hit. So yeah, there's some predictions. I think they're going to go win an AFC championship game this year. They're going to win the AFC. They're going to win the AFC West. I think that's just how good they are. I will not stop betting on them to win until they stop winning it. And I think they're out for blood. I honestly think they're out for blood. They've been Patrick Mahomes has been hated on all offseason. They've got that fuel from the loss of the Bengals. They had that game in their hands, and then they just went and threw it away. That's exactly what they did. They threw it away, and they very easily could have beaten, I won't say very easily, would have been tough. They could have beaten the Rams in the Super Bowl and won 2 in 3 years, okay? They could have done it. Should have done it. But now this is a year. They're out for blood. This is going to be another kind of redemption for them because I think that the team's getting younger. It's getting faster. It's getting better. They're doing this rebuild on the fly kind of thing. You see it a lot in hockey as an avid hockey fan, that you see the Detroit Red Wings were great for years, for 20 plus years, because they rebuilt on the fly. The Chiefs can do this right now and find ways to continue to win playoff games and go to the Super Bowl while they're rebuilding on the fly. This team is going to be a dynasty, much like they've already built that foundation to be one. So I do think that they are on the trajectory to win the AFC. I'm not going to say anything about a Super Bowl right now because that's just not what I do, but I do think that they can win a very, very tough AFC, and that leaves the winner of the NFC, which is not the toughest. It's not the toughest conference, guys, to have to play whoever comes out of that. So it's going to be fun to watch. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Get a little bit of a betting feel because I'm going to be driving down to Kansas. Again, the code for that is RGR21 if you're interested. If you're not, that's fine. I'm getting more into gambling myself, and I think that Kansas having that there is nice for a lot of the fans that are there. So that's cool. I'm hoping Missouri can figure that out. But if you guys are new, even if you're not, make sure you hit that like. We love getting the likes. They help us get out to more Chiefs fans. Hit that sub and the bell. Bell lets you guys know whenever a new video is coming out. So I appreciate all the support you guys continuously give. It's great. And you guys are some of the best fans in the world. Awesome. You guys are great. Chiefs Kingdom. I love it. And I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.